Have you ever felt that as you grow older, friendships don't seem as important as they once were? You reach for your phone only to find no missed calls, no new messages. The house is quiet, the hum of the clock fills the air, and for a moment you sit there, staring at nothing in particular. You remember a time when the phone rang constantly, friends checking in, invitations filling your weekends. But now, the invitations are rare, the calls come less often, and the people who once felt like family seem to have drifted away. You take a deep breath, sip your morning coffee, and wonder, is this loneliness, or have I simply outgrown the need for constant companionship? For so much of our lives, we've been told that friendships are the foundation of happiness. That the more people we have around us, the more fulfilled we will feel. Society paints this picture of aging where we're surrounded by friends, laughing over long dinners, reminiscing about the past. But the reality, it doesn't always look like that. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a bad thing. Because when you truly think about it, happiness isn't found in the number of people who surround you, it's found in the peace that comes from within. It's not about how many friends you have, but about how deeply you embrace your own company. It's about waking up in the morning and realizing you don't need to check in with anyone to feel complete. It's about sitting in the quiet of your home and feeling comfort, not emptiness. Somewhere along the way, we've been conditioned to believe that solitude equals loneliness. That if we don't have a full social calendar, we must be missing something. But the truth is, solitude is not loneliness, it's freedom. The freedom to live life at your own pace, without the obligations of maintaining relationships that no longer serve you. Think about it. How many times have you attended a gathering out of obligation rather than desire? How many conversations have felt repetitive, draining, or simply unnecessary? As we age, our priorities shift. The need for validation from others disappears, replaced by a quiet confidence in who we are. And that in itself is a gift. At this stage in life, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You've already built a life filled with experiences, wisdom, and resilience. You don't need to keep up with friendships that feel more like a duty than a joy. You don't need to fill your days with constant socializing to feel valued. Instead, the real question is, are you living your life the way you truly want to? Maybe happiness is no longer found in large gatherings, but in the simple joys, a peaceful morning with your thoughts, a long walk without distractions, a quiet afternoon doing what you love. Maybe after all these years of giving to others, it's time to give back to yourself. So today, let's explore a different perspective. 6 reasons why letting go of the pressure to maintain friendships can actually make you happier, freer, and more fulfilled than ever before. Because growing older doesn't mean losing something, it means gaining a deeper connection with yourself. And if this message resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story. Your support allows us to share these valuable lessons with more people who may need them. Now, let's begin with the first reason. Reason 1. True happiness comes from within, not from the number of friends. Happiness is not about how many people surround you, but about the peace you feel when you are alone. When we are young, we often believe that having many friends equates to a fulfilling life. That the more invitations we receive, the more proof we have that we are loved and needed. But as we reach our 70s, we begin to realize a simple truth: happiness doesn't come from others, it comes from within. Think about it. How many times have you sat in the middle of a crowd yet still felt lonely? How often have you kept in touch with someone out of obligation simply because you feared that if you didn't, the friendship would fade? We tend to cling to familiar relationships out of habit, but not all of them bring us true joy. In fact, some of these relationships can feel draining and burdensome. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation with someone, secretly hoping it would end soon? Or notice that some people only reach out to you when they need something rather than because they truly care? This is why now is the perfect time to build a strong relationship with yourself. No one knows you better than you do. No one can make you happy if you still feel empty inside. Happiness is like a garden. If you don't nurture it, it will wither. When you were younger, you spent so much time tending to external relationships, worrying about what others thought of you and trying to please everyone. But now you have the opportunity to devote that time to yourself, to understand yourself better, to listen to what your heart truly desires. Imagine each day as a blank canvas where you have the freedom to create moments that bring you the most joy. No more forced gatherings, no more social calls that feel like obligations. Instead, you can spend a peaceful morning savoring a cup of tea, rereading an old book you've loved for years, or simply stepping outside to enjoy the gentle morning breeze. So, how can you learn to find happiness from within? One simple yet incredibly effective way is to practice a gratitude journal. Every day, take a few minutes to write down 3 things that made you happy or that you are grateful for. It could be a delicious meal, a beautiful sunny day, or simply the feeling of peace that comes from not having to rush for anyone else. When you focus on the small but meaningful moments, your heart will feel lighter rather than feeling empty when you glance at your phone contacts and wonder who to call. Life is not a competition to see who has the most friends. It is a journey to discover what truly makes us happy. Instead of worrying about the number of friends you have, focus on the quality of life you are living. Allow yourself to embrace the peace and freedom you deserve. Because, in the end, what truly matters is not how many people are in your life, but whether you have lived each moment in a way that brings you joy. Reason 2. Peace is more important than maintaining many relationships. Peace is not something someone else can give you, nor is it something you must sacrifice to attain. Peace is a gift, but only when you are truly ready to let go of what no longer serves your happiness can you fully embrace it. When we were younger, life revolved around conversations, gatherings, and the sound of laughter filling crowded rooms. We grew accustomed to the noise, to always having someone around, to endless phone calls about things that weren't particularly important but still made us feel connected. But at some point, you begin to realize that noise doesn't always equal happiness. Sometimes it is in the quiet moments that your soul finds what it truly needs. Imagine a peaceful morning. You sit by the window, a warm cup of coffee in your hands, watching the soft morning sunlight filter through the trees outside. No messages waiting for a response, no appointments to rush to. No one is expecting you to be anywhere, and no one is pressuring you to engage in a conversation out of politeness. It's just you in this moment of stillness, living for yourself, not for anyone else. Why do we often feel guilty for not responding to a message right away? Why do we sometimes force ourselves to attend gatherings that no longer bring us joy? The answer is simple: we have become used to putting others' needs above our own peace. We fear disappointing people, being misunderstood, or losing something important if we don't keep in touch. But here's a truth no one tells you: you don't have to always be available for every call. You don't have to accept every invitation just to please someone else. You have the right to choose peace. And if you've ever felt that social interactions no longer excite you the way they used to, that conversations feel more like obligations than moments of joy, perhaps it's time to take a step back and reflect on what truly matters. Not because you are isolating yourself from the world, but because you are learning to respect yourself. One way to do this is by practicing a golden hour for yourself. Each morning, set aside time with no phone, no news, no social media. Just you and the things that bring you genuine tranquility. It could be meditation, reading a book, taking a quiet walk in the garden, or simply breathing deeply and feeling present in the moment. Peace is not isolation. It doesn't mean pushing people away or rejecting the love of those who care about you. Peace is a choice, a gift you can give yourself, one that is not tied to expectations or obligations. When you learn to enjoy stillness, when you no longer feel the need to fill empty spaces with relationships that no longer bring you joy, you'll discover that life, in its simplicity, can be more beautiful than ever. So don't be afraid to choose peace. Don't be afraid to enjoy moments of solitude. Because sometimes, in that silence, you will find yourself clearer, stronger, and happier than ever before. Reason 3. You no longer have to prove anything to anyone. When we are young, we carry an invisible burden, the constant worry of what others think of us. Are we good enough, interesting enough, important enough in their eyes? We strive to build our image, to gain recognition, to feel like we belong. But at some point in life, you come to a realization you no longer have to prove anything to anyone. How many times have you attended a gathering just because you didn't want others to think you were lonely? How often have you maintained a relationship simply because you feared that letting go would make you seem distant or indifferent? But the truth is, you have changed. And not only is that normal, it's inevitable. Imagine life as a book. When you were younger, you kept adding new pages, meeting new characters, trying to create an exciting story. Some characters stay with you for many chapters while others appear briefly before fading away. At some point, you no longer need to add extra characters just to fill the pages. You have the right to focus on your own storyline, to spend time on what truly matters and brings meaning to your life. There is great freedom in letting go of others' expectations. You don't need to prove that you are still active, still interesting, still worthy of being loved. You don't need to accept every invitation just to show that you are still part of a group. You don't need to stay in touch with everyone just to avoid being forgotten. The truth is, your value does not depend on how others see you. It depends on how you see yourself. Instead of trying to please everyone, why not take the time to truly understand and appreciate yourself? How long has it been since you listened to yourself with honesty? How long has it been since you asked yourself what you want instead of just chasing what others expect of you? A simple way to do this is to write a letter to yourself. Write about what you've been through, the lessons you've learned, and the moments in life that make you proud. Remind yourself that you don't need validation from anyone else. You have lived a meaningful life with experiences that no one else could have lived for you. And when you stop chasing external approval, you'll realize something important. You have always been enough. You don't need anyone to tell you that you matter, because you know you do. You don't need anyone to affirm your worth because you feel it within yourself. In the end, the greatest gift of growing older is not how many people still remember you, but the ability to live a life free from the weight of others' expectations. And that is true freedom. Reason 4. Time is a precious asset. Spend it on what truly matters. Time is a mysterious thing. We cannot see it, we cannot touch it, yet we feel it passing by so clearly. When we are young, we believe we have an endless stretch of life ahead of us. There is always tomorrow, a new chance to start over, to connect, to stay busy with life. But at some point, we realize time waits for no one. Think of time as a savings account. Every day you withdraw a small amount to spend. But unlike money, you cannot add more time to your life account. Once it's used, it's gone forever. So the real question is, how do you want to spend it? Do you want to waste it on shallow conversations, social gatherings you don't truly enjoy, and relationships that drain you rather than bring you happiness? Or do you want to invest it in things that truly add value to your life? The simple yet meaningful joys, the experiences that nourish your soul. Ask yourself, what truly brings me joy? Maybe it's a peaceful morning, sitting on your porch with a warm cup of tea, listening to the birds sing. Maybe it's tending to your garden, touching each leaf, watching the flowers bloom, just like your life unfolding in its own beautiful way. Maybe it's the time you spend learning something new, playing an instrument, trying a new recipe, or finally reading that book you never got around to. We often say that happiness is having a lot of time, but the truth is, it's not about how much time you have, but how you use it. A day can feel endlessly long if spent on meaningless tasks, but it can be rich and fulfilling if dedicated to what truly matters to you. So, don't waste your time maintaining faded relationships just out of habit. Don't feel obligated to participate in conversations that no longer bring you joy. Give yourself permission to live more intentionally, more selectively, and more deeply. Invest your time in what makes you feel alive, not just in what keeps you busy. Because in the end, when you look back, you won't regret the gatherings you skipped, but you may regret not spending enough time loving yourself. Reason 5. Quality over quantity. True connections are what matter. In our youth, we surround ourselves with people, relationships, and endless conversations. Long coffee dates, lively parties, weekend gatherings with friends, these moments make life feel full. We believe that the more friends we have, the more birthday wishes we receive, and the more phone calls we get, the more complete our lives will be. But as time teaches us the value of selectivity, as relationships shift over the years, we come to a simple yet profound realization. One genuine friendship is worth more than 100 superficial greetings. And one person who truly listens is more valuable than a room full of meaningless laughter. Have you ever called someone in a moment of need, only to be met with silence? How many times have you sat in a conversation yet felt lonelier than when you were alone? We often think that as long as we have people around us, as long as someone listens, we won't feel empty. But the truth is, loneliness doesn't come from a lack of people. It comes from not having anyone who truly understands us. A real friendship isn't measured by the number of photos taken together, the frequency of exchanged messages, or how often you go out. True friendship is about feeling safe in the knowledge that no matter what happens, there is someone who will listen without judgment, without rushing to leave. So instead of trying to maintain as many relationships as possible just to avoid feeling alone, why not invest your time in the people who truly bring value to your life? Sometimes true friends aren't the ones we see all the time, but the ones who show up when it truly matters. It could be a family member who has been by your side from your youth to your silver-haired days. It could be a lifelong friend, someone you don't speak to often, but when you do, it feels like no time has passed. Or maybe it's a kind neighbor, a new friend who brings you peace in a way no one else ever has. Have you ever looked at your contact list and realized that the number of people you truly want to call is getting smaller? If so, don't feel sad. Don't see it as a loss, see it as a valuable refinement. It's not a sign of loneliness, it's proof that you have learned to cherish the relationships that truly matter. The people who remain in your life are not there out of obligation or habit. They are there because they genuinely value your presence, just as you value theirs. Try picking up the phone and calling someone you truly appreciate. Not out of politeness, not out of duty, but simply because you want to connect. A heartfelt conversation, a genuine check-in, a small reminder that you're thinking of them. Sometimes, that's all it takes to warm an entire day. Because in the end, life isn't about how many people you know. It's about who you can truly open your heart to without holding anything back. Fewer but deeper relationships, honest conversations, and connections that come from the heart, those are the things worth treasuring as we step into the most peaceful years of our lives. Reason 6. Letting go doesn't mean loss, it creates space for better things. We often have a habit of holding on to memories, to people, to relationships that no longer serve us. We fear that by letting go, we will lose a part of our past, the things that once brought us joy and made us feel connected. But sometimes, letting go isn't about losing. It's about making room for new and better things. Imagine a closet overflowing with old clothes. You keep them because you think you might need them someday, but in reality, they just take up space, making it hard for you to find the things you truly love and use. And then, when you finally clean it out, when you find the courage to remove what no longer fits, you feel lighter. Suddenly, there's more space. Suddenly, everything feels clearer. Friendships are the same way. Some relationships were once an important part of your life, bringing you happiness. But over time, things change. People change. You change. And not every relationship is meant to last a lifetime. If you hold on to friendships that no longer bring you joy, you're only weighing yourself down. But when you let go, you create more time, space, and energy to enjoy life in the way that truly fulfills you. So how do you let go without feeling empty? Think of it as decluttering your life, not just with people, but also with material things, habits, and thoughts that no longer serve you. Try spending an afternoon cleaning out your closet. Remove what you no longer use and keep only what truly brings you joy. Then do the same with your relationships. Ask yourself, does this relationship still make me happy? Can I truly be myself around this person? If the answer is no, then give yourself permission to step back. Letting go doesn't mean closing your heart. In fact, it allows you to open yourself up to new possibilities. When you free yourself from unnecessary attachments, You create space for new connections, new experiences, and new joys. It could be a new friend you never expected to bond with, a new hobby that brings you happiness, or simply the freedom of no longer holding on to what no longer fits your life. Remember, letting go isn't about loss, it's a choice to live lighter and happier. And when you truly allow yourself to let go, you'll realize that life keeps moving forward and it might just become more beautiful than ever before. Looking back on the journey you've taken, one truth becomes clear. You don't need to hold on to relationships that no longer serve you in order to be happy. Happiness doesn't come from how many people are in your life, nor is it measured by the number of contacts in your phone or the invitations you receive. True happiness comes from the way you choose to enjoy life, from the peace within your heart, and from the moments when you truly live for yourself, not for anyone else. Maybe you once believed that you had to hold on to every relationship, even those that no longer brought you joy, simply because you feared loneliness. But the truth is, loneliness doesn't come from having fewer friends, it comes from not being connected to yourself. When you learn to cherish your own moments, when you take time to do the things that genuinely make you happy, you'll realize that life remains full, even without a large circle of people around you. Now, think about the reasons we've explored together. Which one resonates with you the most? Is it the realization that happiness comes from within? The peace that comes with letting go of unnecessary relationships? Or the freedom of no longer needing to prove anything to anyone? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Each of us has our own unique story, and what you share might inspire someone else on their journey. And if you'd like to continue discovering meaningful life lessons, don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Story. That way, you'll always be part of our journey in exploring the true value of aging, a stage in life that is not an ending, but a new chapter filled with freedom and purpose.